I've been dreading doing this video review because, well, all along I knew that this was the Jane Eyre that I didn't really care for a whole lot. And some people love this movie. I don't. And it's really hard to do a negative review, especially when you don't like sharing negative opinions for fear that someone will come and dump all over your negative opinion and say, no, you're wrong. Maybe I should just start with the thing that I thought was awesome about the movie, which is the music. This movie has a great soundtrack. For most of these movies, the soundtrack has been kind of so to finally get a really nice score is like win. What else did I like about this? Adult Jane's clothing, very flattering shape. A lot of the stuff, especially the BBC things, 73 and 83, very poofy gowns. They made her look huge. This is like kind of streamlined, modestly fitted. So it made her look less like Humpty Dumpty. This movie's more creatively shot, I think. Franco Zeffirelli is a famous director. It's kind of geared toward the mainstream audience, not just people who are going to be sitting down in Masterpiece Theater on a Sunday night. Some of the scenes are set up really nicely. The scenery is nice. I think it's autumn all the time in this movie. Let's just cut to the chase. What did I not like about this movie? First of all, one of the things that I remember most from this movie is the hair cutting scene at Lowood. Helen's got this bright curly red hair and Jane is sketching and she's like, oh, I want to sketch you. Take your bonnet off. So Helen does, and she's sitting there, and Brocklehurst comes in, and he's all like, and so he orders that Helen's hair be cut, and Jane's all indignant, and she takes off her bonnet, and she says, well, fine, you can cut my hair too. And it's just like, okay, I don't want it to seem like I don't like it just because it wasn't in the book. What I don't like about it is that it feels like they were trying to one-up the original. One of the most famous things about Jane Eyre was Bronte's depiction of this awful charity school and the hypocrisy of this godly character and the way he treated these girls. All the girls who have curly hair, they all have it kind of up, and he cuts the curls off. He's not just targeting Helen and Jane. It just seemed to put too much focus on, do you know what I'm saying? Like victimizing Jane. Like, Jane is the martyr. I don't want to come across as nitpicky, and I know that I do. I know that I am. If it was just that they left out all these little details from the book that I get excited about, I could deal with that. But it's that they change things. In removing them or changing them, they kind of changed the essence of things. They took out a lot of the religious stuff, like Helen talking about forgiveness and submission and humility. The debate between Jane and Rochester about whether it would be okay for them to live together even though he had a wife. Her contemplating going with St. John to be a missionary even though it wasn't really what she wanted. Never mind that they made the whole St. John thing extremely confusing by introducing him to her at her aunt's house. I couldn't understand that. Jane's leaving Lowood to go to her new post at Thornfield, and Miss Temple's still there, and Jane turns to her and says, I'm sorry, I feel like I'm deserting you to this miserable post for the rest of your life. That's not what happened. Why did they feel like they had to change that? Miss Temple was the first truly thoroughly kind adult that Jane came in contact with, and then she gets married and leaves the school. Part of that is the catalyst that makes Jane want to go find a post elsewhere, that she feels this absence. She doesn't have anyone else at the school that she gets to talk to anymore, and she's seeking conversation and independence. I don't know. The music's really nice, though. My other big complaint against this movie is the leads. You spend the first 25 minutes with this really fiery young Jane Anne Paquin. A really violent start to the movie. It's jarring. Then, fast forward 10 years later, and she seems really subdued in comparison with the person she was in her youth. And I don't really see what event happened that changed things. Was it when Helen died that she suddenly clammed up and became like this dour, depressed seeming, austere individual? You never really see her livening up or anything. And to her credit, she does a really good job in certain scenes. I think she does a really good job in the proposal scene. And she's very gentle and soft-spoken. I think she might be too tall for the part, but that's something else entirely. That is nitpicking. I do not care for William Hurt. I think that he's kind of wooden, and his interpretation of Rochester is just kind of blah. My mom said, "Oh, he's a much gentler, kinder Rochester." And I said, "Yes." Is he supposed to be? No, I don't think so. He's emo as anything and very, brooding, but like the sit around and mope type. I feel like I was just really mean. I'm sorry. Like, if you love this movie, I'm so sorry. I am totally considering watching it again, because I feel differently when I watch something again and again and again and go, look at what happened. The 1934 Jane Eyre and the Italian Jane Eyre, like, those movies are totally, like, way off in left field. And I watched those clips so many times that by the end I was just like, I don't know, it's fine. And maybe if I watch this movie multiple times, it'll be fine too. I hope this review was not an absolute nightmare, and that I communicated myself somewhat coherently, and that I didn't turn anybody off with my opinions, and that I didn't make anybody mad. Bye!